Good morning and welcome back to Terrace Talk. Unfortunately, my esteemed colleague Adam Harvey is still away on his luxury holiday, but I'm delighted to be joined by the guys from the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast. How are we, guys?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming on. Obviously, a big game between Watford and Norwich at Vicarage Road this Tuesday evening. How are you guys feeling ahead of it, and how sort of is the mood generally around Watford Football Club at the moment?
Well, I think everybody's quite pleased to get the international break out of the way, because we've done nothing but whinge about that particular thing happening. Gareth Southgate ball has not exactly helped with the passing of 2 weeks. It's felt like pretty excruciating. Prior to that, since the last international break, the block of 6 games, we haven't lost. We drew 3, we won 3, but that was such a resounding change from what we'd had up until that point. The team seems to be a little bit more solid. It's not by no means the final article, but we seem to have a little bit more energy, a little bit more bite, and hopefully a little bit more down the left to actually create crosses, because we've got a striker now who can get on the end of stuff if you give him a certain type of delivery, and we seem to be staunchly refusing to do that until the last couple of games. So no, I think we're in a fairly good mood, but it's precarious, it's tenuous.
Who do you put that down to? Sort of the players, or is Valerien Ismael a big part of that?
I think it's so much change at the club in such a short time, which we're used to in terms of managers. You know, we turn managers like other people turn underpants, but it's this season's been slightly different because the recruitment process has been very static, hasn't moved much. We haven't really gone out of our way to use our loan option at Udinese. So there's a lot of unknowns in there, and it's taken a while to get going. It's taken a while to kick on. But the biggest shock for us so far this season is that we still have Valerien Ismael, who is still there. He's even had a new contract. So this is new territory for Watford supporters this season. So as Peter's just said, we don't know what to expect. Anything could happen.
Yeah, I think that's probably like the most confusing element looking from the outside in, is that this is the time when Watford have decided to stick with the manager and decided to almost go with a long-term project. I think most people on social media would have been aware of the almost stunt element in that Ismael new contract. I think a lot of people thought that he was gone. Why do you think Watford have chosen this time, when they're not in the Premier League? They, especially back then, they weren't doing especially well, to give that new contract and to back a manager for once?
So over to you, Justin.
It helps if you turn your microphone on, doesn't it? Professional. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know what the reason is. I think they've obviously seen something in him that they like. I think that maybe it was they've run out of options. That's what I think it is. They're sort of looking around going, anyone? No, we'll stick with Val then. He's not had the most brilliant start. It was a bit of a strange decision, like you say, when that thing came up, the club statement. You think, here we go again. Yeah. Be phoned by 5 Live asking us our opinion on the new manager, and then he's had a new contract. What has he done to deserve that exactly? Because the results aren't exactly brilliant and the team aren't exactly firing. But since then, it's actually since our technical director's left, Ben Manga, and since what's his name? The centre midfield. My memory is getting worse.
Are you going to say about Jake Livermore? There you go.
My memory's getting terrible. I've got to stop drinking. Since Jake Livermore's coming as well, we've started to win and draw games and not lose any for the past 6, I think I'm right in saying. So there's been a little bit of an uptick. Is that to do with the new contract? Don't know, probably not. But I don't know what reason it is, to be honest, that we're improving. Or why.
What style of football is he employing? What style of football should Norwich fans expect to see when they go to Vicarage Road?
We play a 4-3-3 with one player, which will be Jake Livermore, sitting in front of the back 4, and then 2 effectively number 8s, as you'd call them, sitting either side of him. We have had two different types of fullback. A certain Jamal Lewis, who obviously of your parish, the Watford fans have not exactly taken particularly well to him. He's kind of been hot and cold, but more cold than hot. Put it that way, most certainly. The fullbacks occasionally will invert, where they kind of push into the midfield and then push people on, which is something. But one of the idiosyncrasies of how Val ball has been played is because if you're playing that 4-3-3, you've got two wide attackers, and typically those wide attackers or wingers have been inverted. And so each time they've tried to come back into the congested area and try and get a shot away. And it means that you're not getting a conventional kind of winger style crossing into one of our few signings in the season, and certainly the most notable in terms of money, a guy called Mileta Rajovic, who is a Dane who was playing in Sweden for one of the lesser clubs. He's 6'3", and he does absolutely nothing outside of basically the penalty box, and very, very little unless it's between the penalty box and the line. But there, he basically all his game is just getting to a touch on that ball before the centre back does. That's literally all he does. The last game when we played, we beat Rotherham 5-0. He scored the first 2 goals. He scored 2 goals in the game. He made 3 passes in the entire game. That tells you what it is and what he does. But the problem is if you're inverting those wingers, and ironically, the number 8s have also been inverted, i.e. left footers on the right and right footers. So they always cut back, and then they're always in swinging rather than away from the goalkeeper in terms of deliveries. It's been a problem. What we've had is a return of Ken Sema, which people might probably remember more from previous championship campaigns, who is a strong, powerful left winger, and he will basically go on the outside of the fullback, get to the byline, and pull it back. And that for Rajovic is food and drink, and why he's on about 6 or 7 goals, even though he hasn't had much time. I think he scored a goal every 111 minutes or something. It's that one of those kind of figures. Which shows actually how effective he can be, providing you can play with simply 9 outfield players for the rest of the time. Because in the build-up, he ain't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you won't be surprised. I want to linger on Jamal Lewis, who obviously you mentioned there a little bit. Carl, are you of sort of the same opinion, or is he maybe a slightly controversial figure?
No, I wouldn't say controversial. I think we've been a little bit disappointed in terms of what he's brought. He looked like a player on the outside when he first came in that is exactly what we needed. We were desperate for somebody like him, but he's not really hit the ground running. He gets very lost and out of position quite a lot. And there's a couple of moments that you can see that he's got something about him, in terms of his quality. But realistically, he's a player that I look at and go, there's no way he's getting back in the Newcastle side. And there's a reason he's on loan currently. So he needs game time. He does need to play, but he's not set the world on fire currently, and it has caused us a few problems actually during games. So there's a lot more he needs to do to get the Watford fans on side.
Do you think his defensive side has been exposed a bit? Because I think that was probably the side that got criticised the most when he was at Norwich, although he was getting forward a lot, making a lot of assists.
That's exactly what I mean. Positionally, he gets all over the place, and defensively, he gets in trouble. Then you can just see that he's, going forward, he actually looks okay. But it's I'd even question his work rate sometimes, getting back and so forth. But he's not a player that has really done much for us. But there's still a long part of the season to go, so we'll see.
Yeah, he's had a lot of time with no football, or no sizable amount of football. And if we make the comparison to Jake Livermore, he came in properly literally after the last international break. So some way through kind of October time, and until then we thought basically we bought a ghost. It was like the spirit of Jake Livermore is away around somewhere, and then he came in and presumably he got to a level of fitness or understanding or comfort when then they're finally going to play him. We have, because of injuries to the kind of what should be the contingency left back in James Morris, although quite a lot of people like what he does, he also gets called out by other fans. Supporters are always split on these things. So Lewis has been thrown in a little bit on occasion. So there's still an opportunity for him to play his way in. For me, where where it's surprising, actually, for me, is I don't think he's given us anything from an attacking point of view. I mentioned earlier on that we've been playing with inverted wingers. He's been playing behind a guy called Mateus Martins until Ken Sema came in and went down the line. And every time Martins gets it, and he's a spectacular winger, he's a Brazilian lad, he will cut in, have a little drink, and then have one of those kind of curling shots to the far post. Does it every single time, about 8 times a game. And if somebody does that, there is mountains of space outside for somebody to go and do an overlapping run. And he doesn't. He doesn't at all. And if he does get the ball, he passes it back. So his movement wasn't great. A particular game was away at Cardiff where he was particularly woeful. We then went away to Huddersfield, and despite Huddersfield basically giving away goals like they were kind of sweets, it was just ridiculous. We got a 0-0, and again we were trying to crunch this space and go inside. And even though there was no space inside, he made an underlapping run rather than going on the outside. And you just go, where is the player that we saw at Norwich? Because he's just not there yet. Hopefully, as we say, he'll come back into some form. That footballer's brain will kind of wake up. He'll be conditioned and then can go again. But at the moment, we're underwhelmed.
Is he sort of struggling for game time at all as a result of those performances, or is he an Ismael favourite, Justin?
I wouldn't say he was an Ismael favourite. No, he's not. He's not one of the first names on the sheet, is he, Lewis? I think he's. No, I wouldn't have said so.
Because his contingency Morris has been injured and out. He's been played quite a lot. However, it's really telling that because Sema is a left-sided player, if when we're going into the second half of games and looking to make an adjustment, Lewis comes off, Martins, who I mentioned earlier on, will go on, and then Sema will sit back. Now, Ken Sema is not a left back. And if that's your preference to play him there rather than actually somebody who is, we know the caliber, we know what, what you guys felt you were coughing up when he went off to Newcastle. There was another player who's been developed by your academy or your kind of development side of your club really, really well. We just haven't seen him materialise yet. And that's probably why Newcastle want him put out so that he can hopefully re-find himself.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask you about Norwich. Obviously, we're all in the bubble. Most of the viewers of this channel will be sort of in that bubble and see things in a very insular way. So it's always interesting to get the perspectives of supporters of another club. How do you look at Norwich sort of from the outside?
To be honest with you, very similar to us. Very similar in terms of size of the club. We've done a dance with each other over a few seasons, up and down from the Premier League. And definitely this season, a team that's really stuttering, like us, and there's probably a need for a change. I know you guys have obviously changed up top, and your manager currently is under a bit of pressure, but there's just something not ticking along as it has been previously for both our sides. But good club, love Norwich, love going away to Norwich. The pub across the river, I get to shout at the Weatherspoons.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. So love going up there. Great, good fan base. Never any issues. So I'm just annoyed this season. It's a bloody Tuesday night in February at your place.
Like that's been quite often. This game ends up being sort of at night time or on TV. For some reason. I know there's a level of pessimism probably about most Championship fans, and there is this. Still feels like probably it comes more from managers than fans, this cliche of big club for this division about Norwich. But I'm presuming for you, Justin, not loads of fear about Norwich coming to Vicarage Road.
I got to tell you, one of the last games I remember you coming down, you done us 3-0, and it was the night that they'd just revealed a mural in the subway in Watford, and I was down there looking at the reveal. And there was fans walking past talking about all the rest of it. I thought, I wonder if I know them. No, that was Norwich fans walking past. And you then went on and did us 3-0. You're right. It does always seem like an evening game. Was the one last year at some really awkward time? I seem to remember.
Yeah, it was 7:45 on a Saturday. Yeah,
that was
at Vicarage Road. It was. Yeah.
Peter was most upset about that. He was very, very vocal in his displeasure at that. No, listen, I think Norwich are one of those teams that we have no beef with or anything like that. It's just we get on well with Norwich. Norwich get on well with Watford. It's always a pleasure to host Norwich. I've never been to Carrow Road. That's one I need to tick off. I know Cole's been many times. No, I've got no problem with Norwich. I like Norwich. I think they're great.
And looking ahead to this week's game, how confident are you feeling? Obviously, Watford 6 unbeaten, as you said. Norwich, I think 2 wins in 13 now. So, yeah, not looking especially good, I don't think, from the Norfolk side of things. How do you see the game panning out, Pete?
Well, I mean, Watford is like the go-to team to get a team's season started. The number of difficult starts to a season that we've removed from the path. QPR, we doff our hat to you, hadn't won for 19 games. Oh, look, it's the Watford back four hoving interview. Never underestimate our ability to shoot ourselves repeatedly in the foot with a high caliber weapon. We should hope that we're a little bit more workmanlike in the middle. We've got a few more legs recently. Some of the slightly more fancied players who are playing in the number 8 role, which is a guy called Imran Louza, has lost his place, and instead what we've got is work rate, and there's enough quality around there to try to do something, especially if we do play kind of basic football, i.e. get it down the wings and kind of cut the ball back and tug the defence around rather than constantly this inverted winger thing. You can see the thing I've been on all season about this, and it's worked really, really well, because suddenly we were 2-0 up against Rotherham. Rotherham were chasing the game and we were just picking them off nice and easy. I think the key element to those 6 games, as we mentioned earlier on, is Jake Livermore. We've suddenly got a player in the middle who doesn't need to have the armband in order to actually have a little bit of authority. He has a simple style of play, which means he's not having to, skin 2 players and put it in the top corner for people to go, yes, I know what we know what you're doing. So he's kind of highly consistent. So that's really encouraging for us. Our back 3 since the international game, our back 4, but the goalkeeper as well. So the 2 centre backs and the goalkeeper, we were going through this, right, we're playing inverted wingers. So we're going to pretend we're a Poundland Man City. We're all going to pass to each other in the 6-yard box, draw you in, and then we're going to play past, ignoring the fact that we weren't good enough to play round past you. We stopped doing that to a degree. We've started kind of playing kind of 60-40 rather than 90-10 in your favour kind of thing of that. So we've taken suicide ball out of the equation since then, and that looks good and solid. So we would hope that we would come and not be basically doing what we did at Leeds and what we did away at Sunderland, which is turning up and not turning up. Fundamentally, that's our big thing. So no, I think we should give you a good game. And at this moment in time, and with the season you're having, I would hope that we don't just return with the curse of Watford. Here's 3 points for a team who's struggling at the moment.
Yeah, I think Watford definitely do go in as favourites. It's come time for the score predictions. I will just say before we get into them, I would recommend anybody watching this goes over to your YouTube channel and takes in that section of your podcast, because
we will copy the Pinkenham. We put some of the prediction videos out on our Twitter space rather than YouTube necessarily, but do go across to the YouTube. Yeah. Carlos does an excellent match day vlog.
It's definitely it's a very multifaceted prediction situation.
It's not been described as that before.
I like it. Can we keep that? Can we have that written down somewhere, please?
I'm just writing this down. Multifaceted sounds better than rubbish. Excellent. Like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any dogs or backgammon to help.
No, it's fine.
I'm just gonna have to go around asking you for your predictions. But if we start with Carl.
Well, because of the randomness of our predictions, you can't actually predict what you want to predict. But on this, I can. So this is good. I actually think it's going to be a tight game, and I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to be 1-1.
Okay, well, I'm going to go for a win then. Why not? Let's go for a 2-0 to Watford.
Stolen my one there, Pete. What about you?
Well, because I make up these strange rules to the multifaceted prediction league that we do. I think I'll go for a Desmond Tutu.
Nice.
I struggle to think of a Norwich team turning up and simply falling over. I haven't seen that. I've always thought that we've been harder for you at Carrow Road on occasion. Don't get me started. There've been times when you steamrolled us there, but we've had a number of good games up at your place, and I can't think of many others. I'm going to go for 2-2, but keeping our unbeaten run going, I think, is key to just kind of us pushing into the top 10, because I think that's probably what we'd be happy with this season, to be quite frank. Because the thing we haven't mentioned is we've drastically reduced the wage bill. So previously, the teams that we were coming to Carrow Road with, we haven't got Ayal Pedro or Ismail Assar or Emmanuel Dennis, all of these kind of expensive players. We've only got one, and he's the one I mentioned earlier on that we've dropped him because he's a bit of a fancy dance. So hopefully good old championship fare, 2-2, I'll take that.
Yeah, it does feel a bit like it might not be the most high quality Watford Norwich game that's happened for years and years, but hopefully they can produce something worth watching. Obviously, we'll have every kit covered across our channel, so go to pinkun.com/subscribe. I think $1.99 for the first 2 months and $2.99 thereafter. Thank you for watching. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you again very soon.